Happy New Year, Albie.
Happy New Year.
Okay, now
Mark
if you...
in the chat says Happy New Year.
Happy
Morgan
New Year, Mark.
says Happy Amateur Night, and Tommy agrees.
Correct. Although I've had some great New Year's. Great
I'm
New
actually
Year's.
doing good tonight.
I know. We'll see if that lasts.
But I just started a new job. I'm trying to get my life in shape.
Okay. But we're on me still.
Oh,
So what's
okay,
the significance of that song? And I'll give you a hint. Lakeville, Massachusetts. Let's see. Does Morgan know whose version of Old Acquaintance Be Forgot? Do you know, Alice?
I do not.
I hit my pinnacle of baseball playing, I think, in 1980 and 5. That's when I was the best at baseball, my best at baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is from 1947.
Okay.
This version, it's from the Guy Lombardo in his Royal Canadians. Tom Shattuck then shown at Ted Williams baseball camp in the summer of 85.
Mm-hmm.
Shown as a good pitcher, good third baseman. Was a good hitter for meatball pitchers. Not good, but they gave away 5 awards at the end of every session. So the session was 2 weeks, stay away camp, and I won 2 of the 5. They also used my videotape of hitting to show other kids I'd hit. I had excellent form. I now can't throw like a human, and I can't do anything. It's all gone. 85 was it for me. But
Sorry about that.
you will be happy to know that in our dorm, in our cabin, at Ted Williams baseball camp in Lakeville, Massachusetts, was a gentleman named Guy Lombardo Jr., the grandson of the great Guy Lombardo. Went to camp with me.
And saw you get those 2 awards.
He saw it. He said, "I'm going to tell my grandfather." His grandfather then wrote a letter to me. This part on is not true, but it's funny. It's interesting. It's interesting because I didn't really know. It's funny how that works because I told my dad that, oh yeah, my friend Guy Lombardo was awesome. He said, Guy Lombardo, and he said, Guy Lombardo and the Royal Canadians, and I said, which would have been something to my dad, of course, because my dad was 10 when this song came out. And I said, oh yeah, he said that his grandfather was famous in Canada for being a musician. That's just funny in how it works, which is why January 20th, and I've reached out to now another establishment, to the esteemed BB Estate in Melrose. And by the way, if they were to say to me, this is for the January 20th bash, we're doing something. If it has to be in a Costco parking lot, we are doing something.
Okay.
And by the way, thanks, Phil, and thanks, everybody, John, and everybody else who's doing so much work for it. But, if they were to say something like, we don't want to do something political, it's not political. This is a podcast celebration.
Yeah.
We're not the Republicans town committee. Although,
Which has had events in the BB Estate, though, actually.
Right. Imagine that. They're going to, swear off $600 because Trump won. I'd rather not take the money. No, you're not allowed to celebrate that. So there we are. What are your highlights for New Year's, Alice?
What do you mean?
You don't have any. So let me just tell you mine. Me and my friend Ted, who's moving back to town, when we were in high school.
I went out with you one year.
Right. Ted said to me, Ted was a little older than me, so I was a junior in high school. And Ted said, hey, let's go out into Boston. We were in Winchester. So we got some booze to go, whatever we got. I don't know what we got. And we took the train down into Boston. And
sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Morgan says, back in 85, I could throw a football over that mountain.
Yeah.
Mark says 6 degrees of Guy Lombardo.
Yeah, that's right.
Tommy in New Hampshire says Al Bundy 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, 1 game. I used to do a great Al Bundy, by the way. So this is this is what made me this pivotal moment may have made me a partier through my 20s, 30s, and some of my 40s. We went into Boston, me and Ted, and we got on the train. We got the train singing on the way in. The whole thing, like Old Lang Syne and whatever else we could think of, probably Pour Some Sugar on Me, whatever. And we were the ringleaders. Mostly I was the ringleader. I was it was just a great time. And this is the MBTA, the lower line going to Boston was chaos. We get into Boston. We're hanging around with these dudes, these like bloods from Dorchester, all sharing the same bottle, etc. It was a race relations bonanza. You know, rich.
You solved racism?
We solved racism. We were hugging, and everybody was like, oh, it was great, a great time. This beautiful woman came over to me and said, Happy New Year, and kissed me. And I was like, oh, my God, New Year is the best time in the world. On the way back, and Ted can cop to this. On the way back, Ted and I, and this was mostly Ted, and this will make sense because he's German in rocketry. Ted, we were lighting off bottle rockets on the MBTA on the ground level, and they would go right down the aisle, and everybody was so trashed on the train that, of course we didn't bother to see if families were there or anything. We were privileged kids from Winchester just having fun, you know? And so it was just the greatest thing. And the bottle rockets are flying, and we had just a great time. And that laid the New Year's out for me, and I thought from then, this is magic. Everybody likes me. Girls will kiss me. Strangers will kiss me. And I went out for 20 straight years trying to repeat that, and it never happened to that degree. Capping with my crowning moment ever, which was in 1999, Y2K, where we went to the Red Hat, three of us, my girlfriend there and the dude, and we went to the Red Hat in Boston, tied a lot on, headed down to City Hall, and I started to shake hands with people. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Hi, how are you? How do you see you? And the thing is, if you start to shake hands with a lot of people,
they assume you're somebody.
So I gathered a crowd. There's pictures of this. I think Mastro has pictures. So crowds were gathering to get their picture, to get shake hands with me. Nobody had cell phone cameras. But it was incredible. And I created, me, a wannabe famous person. I made myself delusionally famous. I became an influencer in City Hall Plaza, 1999. No less than 26 minutes after that, I was unconscious on the steps of the Red Hat and had to be ushered home. That was it. That was my pinnacle ever.
I'm sorry I ruined your life. You were having so much fun back then.
You didn't ruin my life. What behavior have I changed?
Well, you don't pass out at bars anymore.
Right, that is correct. That is accurate. Although, there were unexplainable injuries 2 months ago from a local bar around here. Who knows what I did? Who knows?
Oh, that is true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I assume I hit on a guy. I don't know.
You came home, and that morning you were like, I can't believe it. I fell down this hill.
Yeah.
Steve from Merrimack will enjoy this. You fell down a hill at the New Old Oak.
Right.
Where there are absolutely no hills.
Yeah. I went back the next day. There was nowhere to fall down. I was absolutely pummeled. You probably
got hit by a car in the parking lot.
Or maybe in the highway. I'm one of those guys who crosses 495 and bleep-faced. All right, Alice, speaking of...
by the way, you're not the only one who has less fun now that you're old. I was so busy today, I didn't watch any Twilight Zones.
Isn't it on all day?
Well, it was on all day today, too. Like, it's on
you missed
in advance, tonight, tomorrow. Like, I'm way too old and serious now. The
Twilight Zone is such an unhealthy thing. You're a sick bastard. You love the Twilight Zone. That comes from the same part of you that loved killing our chicken. You got into it. The blood spurted on you and drizzled down your cheek, and there was something about it that excited you.
True.
Yes, it absolutely. All right, speaking of sick bastards, do we talk all about the New York subway station pushing the dude in the whatever?
I don't...
So anyway, there's this video this afternoon. This one dude, who seemed to be with two other dudes, pushed this dude right in front of the train for
after jumping the turnstiles, obviously, because...
Yeah, although the pusher wasn't recorded jumping the turnstiles, everybody else was. Or maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. I guess that's not the big incident, turnstile jumping.
But it's another tick mark in the column of if you kept out the people who jumped the turnstiles, that you would solve a lot of problems right there.
Yes. Yeah. And the level of sadism that you'd have to to be
push
these
someone
people
in front of a train
and think it's cool. I mean,
wasn't there another person on fire the other day too?
Yeah, the second one.
I mean, like, what does it take for them to realize that there's an issue?
But can we draw a connection between that and the people who love that Brian Thompson got shot? Can't we? Are we degrees on the same plane here?
Yeah, like sociopathic violence for the sake of it. Yeah, yes. I think it's in the same category. Sure. And they feel that it's justified, really.
Yeah.
In some cases, because they have a deranged and not very bright political philosophy. And, in other cases, because they just think they deserve to do what they want because they think they're the only people on the earth.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Remember a little while ago, we had we still have a rash of carjackings, but we had a rash of carjackings, including ones that killed people.
Yeah.
Like including they felt like just running over people. It was fine with them. But I mean, even we have a relation whose car got carjacked recently. It's one of the brands that's easily carjacked.
Well, the car got stolen.
Well, okay, yeah, not carjacked because that's when you're in it or whatever.
Right. It's a little more personal.
So it got stolen, and I don't know if you saw this in the family group chat, but did you see it racked up $4,900 worth of tickets?
Oh, I didn't
going through together. Going through during the however long they had it, not a couple hours, but it was 19 speeding tickets, all through cameras and stuff, and they're it's $4,900
Seems like the kind of place
tickets.
Where they're not pulling
One
people over.
One of them was in a 60 and a 25 or something. They were all crazy tickets. Yeah, obviously stole everything in the car, wrecked the car, whatever. But
right, and these people who did this should obviously be in jail for 10 years.
But they're not going to be. No. They're not going to be. It was in a rash of them, and the officer who was put on their case, I forget the exact number he said, but it was something like, "Oh, I just got assigned 14 car thefts today," or something. Absolutely wild, and it's just allowed to go on happening. It's a very small number of people doing these things.
Well, because
it's
the blame has been transferred.
Population.
The blame has been transferred. So what do official policymakers and Democrats and official people in law enforcement, in criminal justice system now, what do they say is to blame for this?
Poverty, systemic injustice.
No.
What? Oh, the car makers.
Hyundai and Kia.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's the problem. Yep. Hyundai and Kia made these punks steal this because they were stealable. So of course, what's the etiquette? If you make it stealable, then you're expected to steal it. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
These thugs can't be expected to take 5 minutes off from stealing. These thugs can't be expected not to push somebody into the train or light somebody on fire and then sit down and watch. Can't be expected not to.
Mm-hmm. Well, Morgan says in the chat he has a friend who left his car running and went inside for a pack of smokes, came back out, and someone had stolen the car, a woman, and that Vermont has a law where if your keys are in the car when it's stolen, it's only a misdemeanor.
That's freaking amazing. So if the baby's in the car, then it's on you. You're more in trouble. If the baby's in the car seat, you're more in trouble.
It's your fault.
Right.
It's not, a person can't be expected to just, walk by a car that's running and not steal it. It's too tempting for them.
We know our neighbor
absolutely insane societal expectations.
Our neighbor up in Vermont has he's got guns everywhere, including one under his seat in the car, and everywhere. Every room has a gun. His wife is in on it, knows where to get the guns, etc. And his feeling is that if some dude's on fentanyl and going nuts and is going to attack them or try to take something, his feeling is that there's no help. So it's him and the gun. And if this guy, breaks in the house and charges him or charges his wife, then it's better to neutralize the suspect and be the only ones who can testify than have this dude, be in front of the cops. It's
it's crazy. No one is on your side.
Yeah. In the real world, in the good world, what would have happened is this guy who tried to push the guy who was going to get pushed would turn around and blow the man's head off. That's what happened. Of course, he'd be in jail now.
Right.
Because he needs to get pushed into the train, and that's fine. Anything else, you're not allowed to take the law into your own hands. It's freaking unbelievable. Unbelievable. I hope there is vigilante responses all around this country.
But there's not going to be because the people are afraid of being charged with stuff. That's the problem is that, the state goes after people who protect themselves or protect other people around them. Look at Daniel Penny. And people are like, oh, well, now that Daniel Penny got off, it's going to empower people to do this. No, it's not. How many years of his life did he lose fighting this stupid case in the courts and is dependent on the chance that a jury was able to figure it out correctly? What are your chances if you're in Massachusetts that a jury's going to be on your side?
It's not a good chance.
I mean, yeah, like, screw that. Am I going to risk going to jail over it? Like, if I see something happening somewhere and I can do something about it? Absolutely not. It's crazy town in these states where they let the liberals run stuff. So I don't know, like, what the answer is. I also saw a crazy statistic from Fall River Reporter on Twitter out of these new homelessness numbers that came out. That's Jess Machado, by the way, who I was on John Featherston's show with. But there are now more homeless people in Massachusetts than in the entire state of Texas, which is way bigger than us. And a bunch of it is migrants. But it's like, it's crazy. How come we have a homeless population that big?
Well, right. In what they do is the governor will scold you for yelling at her. The mayor will say that she's being pushed around because she's a woman and people are protesting outside of her house, and she'll move forward with trying to repair a soccer stadium or something that I'd never heard of before this year. They only put pedal to the metal with these policies. They don't see this fallout as being anything that's bad whatsoever.
Right.
The policies are, but they don't like being named. They don't like you calling this a sanctuary city.
Right, but they don't ever like being called out on their stupid stuff. They don't ever like it. That's why Pete Buttigieg is out here, because he got upset. His feelings got hurt yesterday. The Politico wrote about the fact that he's built no charging stations with his $7 billion.
Oh, this is beautiful.
He tweeted out, there are now 200,000 publicly available EV charging ports in the U.S., more than doubled since the start of the Biden-Harris administration, and well on track towards the president's goal of 500,000 by the end of the decade. Well, who built all those, Pete?
Isn't that great?
It wasn't
the
you.
The audacity of that freaking guy to say that.
The only thing he's done is get in the way of people building charging stations. He hasn't been trying to help people build charging stations.
No.
What an a-hole. Unbelievable.
That is. And they're so
and how
terrible.
Sensitive is he that he's like reacting to the news like that?
Yeah, it's so, especially since he's putting his resume together now, and you dare the people, the media who are supposed to love him. Remember him and Chasten? You're supposed to love all that. And then Biden commuting the sentences of 9/11 terrorists. Excellent in Gitmo. Well, there you go. So you can do 9/11 and you get your sentence commuted. January 6 people, no. Somehow the marathon bomber, where there were fewer fatalities than 9/11, he's still going to die because that's beyond the pale. 9/11 guys, all good guys. What the frig? This guy is talking about, I've seen it written down all over the place, trying to just burn the place down when he leaves. This president should not be president. These moves are moves of an insane person. He's not in charge. He's not doing this. These are radical activists who are making these decisions for him. Somebody, if there were a goddamn person with a freaking set of cojones or conscience at all, they would freaking blow the whistle on this POS and get moving on the 25th Amendment. Now, today, now. He's doing irreparable damage every freaking second he's in there. He is a piece of freaking garbage. This entire administration is effing cancer. They are.
Yeah. But I'm so excited that it's going to be like the new world now after this. January 20th, Trump gets in. Like 2024 was the year that like history hinged on. I really feel that. Don't you feel like there was a big shift in the universe? I mean, Gronk is now tweeting at Elon Musk about simpler tax code.
Oh, yes.
How crazy is that? Like, we've entered a world where this stuff is happening, where this is in the pop culture and it's cool and like, I don't know. Was it like this when Reagan became president in the 80s?
I was too new to know if it felt like this. I don't
Morning
remember.
Again in America? Did it feel like that?
I don't know. Every day was fine to me. I didn't care about nuclear wars. I wanted one. That's what most of us did. Here's Buttigieg, by the way, is recrafting his image as of right now.
President Biden arrived in office with a sober recognition of the scale of the problems our country was facing.
Worldwide surge in COVID cases is wreaking havoc on people's travel plans.
Bottlenecks in the world supply.
This is put out by the Secretary of Transportation. This is agate prop consisting of news clips to tell a story to overwrite what you remember on your own.
What happened in the world, yes.
It done in a marketing way, just so you know what happened. Something really important.
Chains.
Passenger volumes declined to levels that we have not seen since the 1950s.
And yet a belief in the power and possibility of using the tools of government to address those issues. From time to time in American history, we have seen a massive set of problems where the only pragmatic thing to do...
These guys cocked up so much.
Yeah, you
They're
guys
the biggest
ruined
disaster
America.
in the history of the White House. In the history of the White House. These people, including this POS. But, they never see the possibility. He's in a nice suit, and they've produced up, using taxpayer money, a propaganda video. And they never see... Ooh, something's happening with that boat, Alice. The boat lights keep going on. They never see any consequences. You can't imagine him behind bars, which is where he probably should be.
Right.
Was to act in bold and historic terms. And I believe we saw that when President Biden was immediately confronted with some of the biggest crises in my lifetime and responded to them with some of the most ambitious and successful...
It's one of the cuts I just played said supply chain bottleneck.
Yeah, like you made the supply chain bottleneck, you guys. When you caused all the inflation, remember that?
Yes, taking victory laps. It's amazing. It's funny thing is,
Wasn't a supply chain bottleneck when he was on paternity leave?
Yes, exactly. These people are such clowns. They're so freaking incompetent. They're louts.
They're terrible. And what's like really crazy about it is that they're so completely like self-congratulatory. FDR did a bunch of socialist crap, but at least he like really made the work programs and stuff happen. These people couldn't even do that. They just gave it all to their friends in the bureaucracies and big lobbyists and stuff, and then like nothing ever happened. They never built the charging stations. At least they built stuff during the Depression when they were giving away.
You actually see some
jobs.
of our standing infrastructure says Works Progress Administration.
Right.
And says stuff from the 1930s.
Yeah, the like rural electrification, whatever stuff. Like they really did some things. It was all like make work pretend stuff, but they made some stuff go. This time it's like nothing. They're the worst of the worst.
It's amazing.
Let's see. Pearl Davis, who I know some of you guys like. You saw the thread, right, Tom?
I don't know. She going at it with the hot Italian chick?
She went at everybody. I showed you this, but I'll throw the link in the chat again too, so you guys can see it. She decided to create a nomination for Catfish of the Year, which I just don't think she's a person who should be going around insulting everybody's looks.
Okay.
I mean,
she's not hot at all.
She's fine looking, but like, she's like
I'll find it.
very. I threw it in the chat, but I'll send it to you again. But I mean, there's nothing to like play. But it's just interesting because she decided to go after a bunch of like the hottest people on the internet to attack them for being a catfish. A catfish means you like put photos out there of you that look like way different than you really look, like way hotter.
Which is isn't that everybody, by the way?
Yeah, all women, and like that you like put on makeup so you look hotter than you really are. Like the thing with Sydney Sweeney, where everybody said that her hotness was a lie, basically. But I mean, like, especially for pale people, this just happens where you like put on makeup and you look better.
Well, right, but makeup is paint, so but yeah.
She's catfishing, so she put the redheaded libertarian in there and used as proof that she's catfishing, like an unflattering screenshot from a video where you can see forehead wrinkles. Sydney Sweeney, Paige Spiranak. These are not people Pearl should be attacking. Some e-girl. Sabrina Carpenter. Some other e-girl, I think. I don't know. A bunch of like Twitter people. I don't necessarily follow all of them. Your girl, Isabella Maria DeLuca, was one of them. Who, by the way, looks cute in the photos where she supposedly looks bad, too.
Right.
But it's just crazy to me, like, who spends their time being upset that women look better with makeup on?
I don't get it. But at the same time, there's Ulta and Sephora in makeup places everywhere. Women have crazy, chaotic freaking purses and have for decades, maybe a century now. Because they have all sorts of stuff that they have.
Yeah. Oh, Sabrina Carpenter looks like an average woman if she has no makeup on and is on a normal video and not touch up. No kidding. Like, where have you been? I don't understand the contention.
Yeah, it's odd to me, and I feel, yeah. Yeah, there was a radio host who filled in one time for Michael Graham, and I was producing him. And he said, "You ever seen Pam Anderson without makeup? She looks like Hume Cronin." I thought it was a funny joke because she does look totally different without makeup.
Mm.
But Pam Anderson can embody the sex kitten thing on call, on demand, whenever she needs to. And I also believe that Pam Anderson in 2010, when he said this, would be pretty welcome in most guys' bed. You know?
Yeah.
All of this stuff is like amazing. I actually do like too that some of the zero makeup or less makeup thing is coming in. Sorry for sniffing right at you guys. Because I just saw this video yesterday with Cindy Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very minimally made up. The interviewer was much more made up. And I kind of like that. I kind of find it interesting to look at like what the actual person looks like compared to the glam version of the person.
Yeah. Photos also, though, aren't what people look like anyway.
Well, with the invention of the selfie, they'll never be what people look like.
Well, no, but I mean, like, ugly photos aren't what people look like either.
Well, right.
I mean, people look like people. And especially, have you ever seen those camera things where they do cameras at different focal lengths?
I don't know what that means. Focal lengths?
Focal lengths. There's this thing called, I think it's called like Kubrick zoom, or it's like a sort of a trick camera shot where you zoom in while backing the camera away.
Okay.
So the thing stays the same size, but you're zooming out. So it like looks funny. It creates a sensation of motion, even though the thing is staying the same size in the screen.
Yeah.
And basically that's just a trick of changing focal lengths. But like if you ever look at a set of photos of like the same person taken at a bunch of different focal lengths, they look like a totally different person. That's the trick of those like photos our daughter takes, the 0.5s where you look all weird and distorted, because a camera itself, depending on the focal length you use, distorts what you look like.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So like you can't post a photo of someone and be like, oh, see proof that they're ugly. You know, like a lot of people look different than they look in photos. It's crazy to me. And people always use photos of as proof, like when they're doing conspiracy theories of like, oh, this is totally not the same person. And like people look different in different photos. It's just a thing depending on the type of camera. So like Luigi Mangione, people were doing that. Like, oh, he looks nothing like the same person. Like, no, it's definitely the same guy. It's just different types of cameras, different distances away. It's so funny to me, though, like...
Morgan's right. I like both. Makeup or don't make up matters the situation. I agree.
Right. And it's like a weird thing to be mad about. Oh, you posted pictures where you look hot and not pictures where you look ugly. Like, well, duh.
Well, you're right. And I think now it's more than ever. Ever since now, people have selfies. That's the thing. For the last, almost 20 years, you've been able to self-edit. And so...
Self-edit, and you have infinite...
In 1999... the picture was what it was. The person took it, and we find out a week later. It's, oh, wow, there you go.
Well, yeah, because you now have infinite retakes every time.
Right.
As you go. So it is what it is. It's, I think it's good for people to see that even, like, really beautiful women don't look like that without makeup on. But it seems, like, strangely angry to me that somebody like Pearl, who honestly, like, does not look that great herself, is, like, so mad about it.
Yeah.
It's like really inexplicable to me.
But is this just simply
Paige
the fact...
Spiranak is actually ugly. Like, no, not really. Like, I know that you have a problem, but she's like kind of a good-looking woman, is she not?
Well, yes, of course she is. That's her whole thing.
And you, a YouTuber, you're mad that she wears makeup and looks better with the makeup on than with it off? Like, it's so weird. I don't
But do we think that she's doing anything but trolling? Like, this is her thing.
Yeah, she's just making people mad. And she tagged in all the people, too.
Yeah.
So then it makes their fans mad. It's engagement bait. This is what she does. That's how she makes money on the internet. Which is why I generally have her muted. But also, I saw everybody talking about this thread, so I went and found it.
Sydney Sweeney Isabella DeLuca, whatever her name is.
Mhm. Paige Spiranak.
All these girls who get on and jiggle around and pretend to be doing some other content. I think that's a healthy thing. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's like celebrate women, real women. They look great.
Yeah.
They like it, and I'm not even talking just being a perv. I'm just saying it's a good thing to have women appreciated.
And it's a good thing for women to want to look pretty and to like do their hair and makeup and want to look good and like not look like their worst selves all the time. Like, isn't it?
Well, yeah. It's also the other
Isn't
thing
it
is,
like a nice, healthy thing instead of wanting to look fat and disgusting with blue hair and like
yes,
a crazy half-shaved head person? Like, we should celebrate women who want to look beautiful and feminine.
yeah. Like for instance, you've seen what's her name got like Kamala's niece got more modeling gigs or something.
Yeah.
And she looks like miserable. This is brutalist.
Mhm.
Their whole thing is, I'm gonna look hideous and unfeminine, and we're supposed to pretend. Like more and more, the world of modeling decided in the last few years to throw all the heterosexual men out of the industry or
It's
the
not
market.
for the male gaze.
No, is you go okay. Well then, there they go. I mean, it's amazing, amazing. Alice,
So here's to hot women in 2025. That's what I say.
yeah, damn straight, all for it. Maybe we should have a chat. No, a burn barrel calendar. Imagine that.
I don't think.
What?
I don't want to be in a calendar. So I don't know. If
I don't think
any
you have
of
a choice in the
lovely
matter.
ladies out there want to be in a burn barrel calendar,
don't
you
think-
can let Tom know, but I don't want to. Thank you.
I don't think you have a choice there.
Thank you.
Okay, I am losing the ability to speak. but
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. By the way, we saw the Hong Kong New Year's celebration downstairs, and they do the 1812 overture too.
That's great. That's great. Morgan in the chat saying Pearl's a grifter. It's true. Unlike us, we refuse to post engaging content.
Oh, we got numbies last night though.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
On
I
Alice's
forgot
on
that.
our TikTok. Alice got numbies last night, which is you never know. TikTok is so effing with me.
She's a fickle mistress.
It is, and I don't even know. Like I don't know. Like why was last night so important? It makes no sense. They're not interested.
Because I was talking about how the Biden administration is terrible.
Right, but we've done that before, and it has not gotten numbers. So I don't know. It's got to be all just timing and what it is.
Either that, I mean, like, I almost think maybe the whole thing is fake. Like,
Yeah.
How do you even know, whatever, 90,000 people really viewed that or not? Or if TikTok's just telling you that to keep you coming back for
Well, so
more.
supposedly you get comments on some of them, but
But they control how many people see it anyway, though.
but
You
I
know
try
what
to
mean?
find a pattern and say, okay, what's the secret sauce? What's working? One thing about last night's post is that the color scheme was fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it or you remember it. But at some point, look at last night's post. It's
I
you
was
on
wearing
top.
navy blue.
No, not your color scheme. It's the color scheme of the whole thing. So there's a still shot of Biden below you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part. Might be. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know
Okay.
what else to think, or if it's ever been truthful to me.
I'm sorry that you're dying. Okay, we should probably go to the chat and spare you guys more of Tom snuffling over here.
Yeah. There we go.
But yeah, none of that from us. We don't try to.
Oh, we have to
Get-
do a food show. Michelle's food show tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey guys, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Hey,
I
Steve.
hope
Happy New Year.
2025 is great for you guys and your family, and I hope that
You too.
it brings a lot of health and success to all of you. And I know that we have 3 weeks left until President Biden is finally gone from our lives and President Trump takes over, and it's going to be some good times starting on.
Well, hold on, Steve. Before you go any further, Steve has given me indications that he's not going to be able to make it. I would suggest, even if you're with family, whatever you've got, I think you'd be in great demand, Steve. We would love to have you. Love to have you. So far, it looks like it's going to be in the greater
Wakefield area.
Wakefield area. So you'd be in great demand.
January 20th, and I know in the next 3 weeks, there's going to be more shenanigans from President Biden, and he's going to pardon a lot more people.
Yep.
His brothers, himself, a
Yep.
bunch of politicians, and I think that, obviously it's great to talk about it, to unpack it a little bit. But I don't think it's anything to really be upset about like people were with Hunter. It's just part of the merry-go-round that is politics. And, even though we're not going to accept it, I think we should just digest it and move on, because we know in 4 years Trump's going to do it with his sons and his daughters and a bunch
Trump doesn't have to do anything with his sons or his daughters. He doesn't. That's the
Right.
difference right here. His sons didn't bring cocaine into the White House. His sons weren't transacting by selling access to their father like that. If they were, I guarantee we'd know about it. So he's not going to have to do any of that stuff.
politicians as well, and Elon and Vivek and all them. So I think it's just part of the Washington politics. So if we get upset about what President Biden does over the next 3 weeks, then we'll ultimately be the losers, because we're going to be, giving in to the political machine that is Washington, D.C. So I know you guys will probably be upset about it, but I suggest you don't. But anyway, health, happiness, 2025, here we go.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I mean, I'll be upset about some stuff, certainly, if he keeps on commuting sentences of the worst people on the earth. But some stuff I will not be. But, I mean, we're going to talk about it, no doubt.
I mean, an upset is a strong word.
Also, I have completely now lost the use of my nose as a breathing vessel. It's amazing how rapidly this is setting on. This onset is coming. Maybe I should have gotten some bourbon or something.
There's a Dayquil downstairs.
Steve from Merrimack, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Dominican Republic. He's in Dominican, where Tom Shattuck famously was, year 2000. Oddly good year. Oddly good year. I told you about the story for the Mastro, right? In the hotel room.
I don't know that you did.
So you stayed in the Iberostar, and this is the first night. First night. I was fat then. When it hit a fat phase. It only lasted about a year, but maybe less. But anyway, the first night I meet this woman from Italy, beautiful woman. She's taking off the next day, and I met her at one of the clubs.
I do remember this story, but tell it for the people.
Right. And we're getting along, and she's like, we're laughing, and she's really easy to talk to, and she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, this is great. This is night one. Night one of 7 nights. So I said, do you want to come to my hotel room? We'll have a couple of drinks. I'll meet you out here in like 5 minutes. And she said, yeah, okay. Well, I'll do that. I'm like, holy God, this is night one. This is a beautiful Italian woman. This is excellent. So I go up to my hotel room. We got a full bar in the room. So I'm like, I'm stoked. It's fantastic. And I for some reason I kept the door open with a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I did that. Maybe I didn't have a key. Maybe somebody had propped the door open earlier. I don't know. I guess I probably didn't have a key, or maybe somebody let me in. I'm not sure why. So I propped the door open with a shoe, and then I wait out front for her again, and she shows up, and she's like looking beautiful, and she's obviously like this is going to be a night. So we go to the room, and the door is closed. I can't get in the room, and I'm knocking on the room. Nothing. I can't get in the room. I don't have a key. I can't get in the room. I used one of the house phones. And I call and I said, "Hi, can you send somebody to open my door? Room 210, whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, we'll be there in like 10 minutes." And so I'm like, "Okay." 10 minutes comes. I'm waiting with this girl. Another 10 minutes. I keep calling still. I go to the front desk and they're like, "We'll send somebody up." And I realized that eventually. And I'm talking to the girl, and we're getting along, etc. And she said, "I think now I have to wake up for a flight tomorrow. I think I should go home." So eventually, like after 50 minutes, she leaves. She goes back to her roommates and stuff in her room. It is over. And what had happened was Steve, the same guy, the same guy, who, as a matter of fact, has visual proof of me being famous at New Year's Eve in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
He had drunkenly gotten to the room, kicked the shoe out of the door, and passed out on my bed. Not only that, but passed out on my bed totally naked. So finally somebody lets me into my own freaking room, and there, it's not me and her, hooking up with this girl from Italy.
Your bed has been contaminated.
With him dinked down on my bed. The worst of all scenarios had happened.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Oh, it was terrible. And then for the rest of the trip, nada. Not even close to being any embrace. Great. It was amazing. Amazing. If I scored that first night, I would have been the king of Punta Cana. But nothing.
Okay. Should we hear Steve's story now?
Well, hold on. There also reminds me that my friend Steve also. There's a culture divide because Steve is from Dorchester, along with one of my roommates at the time who was there with me from Dorchester. And that doesn't necessarily get. You know how you told us that Malakalikilaka is? What is that? It's
a transliteration. It's not a translation.
Right.
So that's just how a Hawaiian person pronounces Merry Christmas.
My friend Steve was he's still my friend. Made that look utterly brilliant and noble, because he would find this is great. He would find hotel employees, and he'd want pictures with us and girls we had met who I was not going to be amorous with, and he would give his camera to the hotel employee or the civilian who he believed was Dominican, and he would say, "Can you take it a picture? Take it a picture? Can you take it a picture?" As if taking the picture is Spanish. But he'd do it. It was and we'd say, "Steve, stop saying take it a picture." Just because when they speak English, it's broken like that, doesn't mean that you have to say take it a picture. That's not meeting them halfway. Just say, "Can you take a picture?" But he said that whole time. Master, I'm mad at you now. One, he ruined my night at Buzzy's Roast Beef in 1998 when I had a steak and cheese coming at 3 a.m, and some dude called him the F word for gay, and Steve clocked him. Steve's from Dorchester. He's a tough guy. So knocked this kid out. And we had to run because the cops were coming, so I missed my steak and cheese. He kicks my freaking door closed so I don't hook up. It's an Italian kid. And then spends the rest of my time is explaining to people not to be offended that this kid is saying take it a picture. Oh, God.
Can we hear Steve from Merrimack's story
now? How long did that take? About a year?
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Steve from the Dominican Republic. Excuse me. Yes, Tom. They're ladies. The women's is on fire, as they say.
Here we go.
From all over, locals, international.
Yep.
I think there's some international locals. Thank you. But yes, they make Scarlett Johansson looks like Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Here we go.
Compared to these women. Okay, Cindy Crawford looks like Ruth Buzzy. Okay, I gave you 2 Ruth comparisons there. Okay. Am I getting through to you here?
You are, man.
Am I getting through?
Is it nude or what?
Thank you.
Like I said, we went there with a bunch of guys were from Dorchester, a bunch of guys were from Somerville. Some of us were from the Gentry, and the dudes, the Somerville contingent, brazenly took pictures of all the chicks on the beaches naked. Never got. First of all, none of us got used to it. It was never like, oh well, now you get. No, I was never used to it.
Well, how long were you there?
A week, 7 days.
You could probably get used to it over time.
No. This is no. But these dudes, the Somerville crew were like the Annie Leibovitz Olympic team of photographers. They were freaking. If you were in August of 2000 in Punta Cana and you were naked, there are pictures of you in Somerville, Massachusetts. Just let the record show.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Hope you have a happy new year. Counting down, singing Old Lang Syne.
My friend Mike hooked up with this girl who was from Germany while he was there. Mike, who was there when Paul kissed me. And she then fell in love with him immediately. and he like didn't want to spend all 7 days. She was like kind of like a Pearl looks, but with really short buzz cut hair. But she she obsessed over him and said, "Why don't you call me? Why aren't you coming to my cabin anymore? What are you doing?" And I became, of course, because I was the fat friend, I became the middleman for her psychotic rantings. And she, as a protest to him for ignoring her, she cut off her eyebrows and chopped off her eyelids.
Oh my God.
No. What's the furry? Yeah, eyelashes. Yeah, eyelashes, just to show him the pain he was causing her.
You know how to find them.
Yeah, this was instead of betting, beautiful Italian women. I was in charge of diplomacy for German psychos.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great New Year. We're gonna do a show tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be too hungover?
No, I'll be just hungover enough.
Okay, perfect. And hope everybody starts the year right. We'll see you tomorrow for
Happy New Year.
Last burn barrel of the week.
No, it's not. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It won't be the last burn barrel of the week. Just kidding. I don't know what day it is.